Hey there. So, this question has been on my mind, and I was thinking about this today. What does it mean to love your life when nothing looks like what you've planned? Sometimes we have that list, a 1 year plan, a 2 year plan, a 5 year plan, a 10 year plan. And in that, we have identified and listed the things that we want to accomplish, where we want to be, who we want to be with, who we want to become, the things we want to have, a mix of different things, experiences, whatever that list entails. And sometimes those plans may not work out. Things change, personally or professionally. Relationships end. um, our situations change. Maybe our job changes. Maybe there are different factors that come into place that will change the plans that we had written down as the marker and reminder of where we wanted to be at different points in our life. And sometimes those pivots, whether they are known or unknown, can throw us for a loop. It's really hard, when that happens to figure out what do I have to do. Um, Sometimes we don't have a choice but to kind of throw ourselves into that pivot and deal with the situation as it is. Other times we might be able to take a moment and pause and figure out, well, what's next? Sometimes we just have to take things day by day in order to just maintain a sense of calm and allow ourselves not to essentially surrender to all the different complex emotions that can come out when we're dealing with unexpected changes. For example, such as the loss of a friend or family member. That definitely is going to change plans. It puts us into a different perspective because in that space, we also are going to assume a new identity, building a life and learning to relive a life without that person that we assume was going to be part of our life in so many different ways. The same thing could happen with a job. We could be at a place, a job that we love, and then suddenly either we're laid off or things happen in the organization and there's a shift. Maybe new management comes in. All those different changes can impact us in different ways. Or, we could end up dealing with a health issue. Again, it doesn't have to be something that's major. Certainly there are different things, big and small, that are going to come into life that are going to change the path and the life that we've envisioned. Sometimes in that space, when things like that are happening, it's easy to think about, why is this happening to me? One of the things that I've learned to reimagine and reframe my mindset is, I don't see this as something that's happening to me. I see it as something that's happening for me. What lesson am I going to learn from this situation? What lesson am I going to take from this experience? What lesson am I going to take so that I can plan and prepare for what's next? How am I going to make this pivot and in the space of what's happening also still embrace gratitude? Because let's face it, when things are not going according to plan, it's so easy for us to surrender to the negative emotions that come with that: disappointment, anxiety, frustration. The list goes on. One of the easiest things, or really one of the hardest things sometimes, is to find gratitude in change of plans and start to think about how that makes us feel in the space. It's a hard thing to accept, and at the same time, it's one of those things that I'm learning along the way. When life isn't going according to plan, whether it's a setback on a particular day or a string of things that you're dealing with, it's so easy to think about different ways to either avoid the situation or burrow ourselves into a hole, have an ongoing pity party. I like to call it pity party moments because we truly do need to honor all of our emotions, regardless of whatever situation we're dealing with. I also think that sometimes when these plans change, it's just also a sign that life is messy and life is hard and life is complicated, but it's also so simple. And sometimes in these situations and plans that kind of thwart our path or what we wanted to pursue, let's embrace the messiness of it all. And at the same time, let's also know that this is part of life. Life is imperfect. We're imperfect. And sometimes the hardest thing that we can do is find a sense of gratitude when we're dealing with something that is tugging at our emotions and drawing our strength and causing us to worry and causing us to feel so many different emotions. And so that's probably the message, that I wanted to share with you today. What do we do, and what does it mean to love your life even when things don't go according to plan? Sometimes that's the hardest thing to do, is to find love in the midst of something messy. But the most beautiful thing that we can do in this beautiful sadness that we might be dealing with when we're looking at our life and saying, this isn't where I wanted to be, this isn't what I thought I was going to experience, is that there's a beautiful sadness and joy at times that can come from experiences like this. And so we can embrace those lessons that we're learning. We can embrace those moments that are going to make us feel uncomfortable. We can hold on to the knowledge that what is happening isn't happening to us, but it's happening for us. Perhaps creating a new path, a new opportunity, a new connection, a new way for us to look at our situations from a different perspective and say that despite what's happening, I can look and experience opportunities and be open to change and be open to new perspectives. And also understand that you're not going through this alone, because all of us are going to be in that same place at different points in our life. And we have a wonderful opportunity to say, I don't have to let this consume me. I can learn from this. I can grow from this. I can understand this and know that this is just one tiny moment in my really big, amazing life.